Hi guys! This page in my traveler's notebook did not go at all according to plan, but I figured I would show you anyway because the end result is alright, it just takes a really long time to get there. So, I've started off with these couple of photos. They're just some random photos I had left over from Project Life spreads that they didn't quite make it onto, so there's no particular theme or major story here or anything. They're just a couple of photos that I really wanted to put in my notebook rather than throw away because I've already printed them. And while I was busy tidying up my desk finding these photos, I also had this kit from Citrus Twist. This is a scrapbook kit and I'm pretty sure it's from January. It might even be from December. I couldn't really say, to be perfectly honest with you. And I pulled out 3 of the bits of paper that I thought might match the photos. They were all sort of pinks, and the back side was that lovely blue that I loved, and it all goes really nicely with the photos. And I ended up just going with this pale pink one because that matched the nicest. And I've trimmed out a piece that was just slightly smaller than the full size of my traveler's notebook spread here, and then I made a little mark at halfway and just trimmed this piece in half, because when I've got one piece of paper like this, it's going to go over the entire spread. I don't like to fold it across the fold of the notebook. I do like to make sure there's a little split in there so that the notebook still folds nicely. You can use one whole piece of paper, but you will end up with a little bit of creasing down the middle, and it can make your book especially bulky and hard to open and shut. So that's why I add the little split down the middle. I don't think it takes away from anything too much visually. You don't tend to notice it too much, so that is where I'm going with that. I also trimmed off the little branding strip piece there with the clouds on there because it was really pretty and I want to bring that blue in somehow, but the blue floral was just going to be a little bit too busy behind my photos here. This was another pattern paper that I really wanted to add in as well because it's got that really pretty peachy pink color with the yellow stripe, and I just thought it went really nicely with the other 2 colors on my spread. So I've just torn off a strip of that, and depending on how you tear paper, you'll either end up with a white sort of edge or a not white edge, as you can see on the back here. And so I was careful to tear it so that I would have that white edge. It just gives me a little bit more texture and the opportunity to rough it up a little bit, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm just using my fingers to sort of roll the edge of the paper back. It doesn't make it large or bulkier in any way, it just gives that tiny little bit of texture that I really love. Now I'm going to end up adding my photos on top of there, so you don't end up seeing a lot of that texture that I've created anyway, but it is still there a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing with my branding strip, as I'm just measuring it out with my pencil just to make sure I'm getting the same size pieces, trimming them with my paper trimmer, and then I'm going to stick them along the bottom. So that's why I've left that gap between the yellow paper and the bottom, just to lift the yellow up a little bit, and then I add my branding strip at the bottom, and it just eliminates some of the bulk of having 3 layers of pattern paper on top of each other. My photos are getting a little bit lost on the background there because they are super light, so I'm going to match them with this really beautiful blue floral that I loved. I did have 2 pieces there, but I was just trying really carefully to see whether I could get away with only cutting into 1 so that I would have a little bit of a scrap left over. But I can't, so I am sticking 1 down and then trimming it out, and I'm doing a terrible job of getting them straight onto there. I should literally be able to stick that down and only have to trim out 2 sides, but I didn't get either photo straight, and then I have to try and use my paper trimmer and eyeball it to try and get the mat straight on all 4 sides. That's all I'm doing in the way of embellishing or matting those photos. I'm not adding too many layers to this page. This page is becoming more of like a traditional scrapbook page rather than like a traveler's notebook page, but I definitely don't want to add too much bulk to it, especially because it is in the middle here, and it's going to need to still remain as flat as possible. So I'm going through the rest of the kit there. It's looking pretty sparse. I did use quite a lot of this kit, but there were these paper clips in here that I didn't know how I was going to use. and the arrow was like the perfect color, so I decided to add it. Now I know that goes completely against what I was just talking about with bulk, but as far as paper clips and stuff like that go, I don't mind adding those, because if I want to stamp on the back half of this book or anything like that, I can always take the paperclip off. So there is bulk to it, but that bulk can be removed if necessary, which I don't mind using. Now here is where this page goes completely awry. There are these fabulous alphas in this kit from the Whimsical collection, the beautiful rainbow alphas, and I loved them and I wanted to use them so badly that you'll see just how long I spent trying to make this work. I start off by deciding I would use only blue letters, and I get most of the way through and realize I don't have enough blue letters, so then I figured I would add a few little purple ones in. That didn't really work either, so then I figured, oh, maybe I'll swap out some of them for pink. That didn't work, so I pulled them all back off again, and then I decided I would do one word, like each word a different color. And that didn't really work either. Like you can see, I spent a great deal of time. I've cut so much of this out and sped it up, but I spent so much time forcing this to work because that was the alpha that was in the kit. But I realized there's no reason I have to stick with the contents of the kit. It was just that the kit happened to be there. So I went and grabbed these alphas, which are from that same Chamel line that I had in my mini haul Project Life video not long ago. I'll link that up above. And so I just start plonking them away. These are the worst alphas I've ever had. They're so bad. You can see some of them are like falling off the backing sheet. There's barely any stick to them. Others are so stuck onto the backing sheet that when you pull them off, it peels off the sticky layer. So totally awful. But it actually works to my advantage because, as you can see here, I'm doing the exact same thing. I plonked those letters down, I'm trying to make them fit, I have to lift them back up, move them around, put them back down again. I can't even count how many times I've had to shuffle these letters and rearrange them. I am being careful when I'm putting them down not to put too much pressure on them. Just trying to lightly put them down until I get, you know, some sort of vague idea of how this is actually going to work. And I get to this point and it's looking so good so far, except I want to fit one more word on this side and I was freaking out that I wouldn't be able to make it fit. Luckily these alphas do have like different variants for each letter, so I did manage to get that whole title on there. Eventually. It did take much longer than I had anticipated it taking, that's for sure. So by this stage, I'm sort of well and truly done with this page. I just want to add a few more embellishments. So I added a couple more of those little tiny word stickers from Heidi Swap just to pull in the gold from the Remember label at the top there. And then again, from my mini haul the other day, I had these Chamel puffy sticker hearts, which I love. And of course they match perfectly, so I added a few of those on there. It goes with my heart cookie, so even though I added 4, it works nicely and draws your eye down across the page. So eventually I got there. It just took much longer than I had hoped for. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know that I am not the only one who struggled this badly trying to put a title on a page. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.